You're applying for jobs, and some of them ask for a cover letter. A cover what? A whole letter? Why would I need a whole letter? I just gave you my resume. Well, a cover letter is a three-in-one document. It serves the purpose of introducing you, providing a sales pitch for you, and proposing future action. Today, I'm going to talk about why you should consider writing a cover letter when you're applying for jobs, how you can format your cover letter, and what you should include in each paragraph of your cover letter. To begin, why write a cover letter in the first place? Well, you can use your cover letter for a variety of different purposes, but first, it serves to express your intent to apply and your interest in a position. Basically, we use this document to entice the employer to want to learn more about us. They saw our resume, we've impressed them with our cover letter, and now we want them to invite us in for an interview. It can showcase our value to them. Instead of just seeing on our resume what our qualifications are, we take that resume and use our cover letter to explain the qualifications and how we're going to serve them in this role. We can also illustrate just how well we can express ourselves. If we do a really good job of writing this important business document, that shows them that, hey, this person knows the norms and expectations of a business, and they're probably going to have effective communication in our workplace. And generally, we're showing commitment to the position. If they have 50 people apply for a position and only 5 of them write a cover letter, I know which 5 applications I'm going to be paying more attention to. It's those folks that took the time to write a cover letter. Basically, we want to butter it up in this cover letter. Why do you want to work for them? And why do they want you to work for them? Before writing your cover letter, ask yourself a few questions. First, what is your objective? You don't just have to write a cover letter if you're applying for a job. If you're not graduated yet, but you want to work for a specific company once you graduate, you could write a cover letter to introduce yourself and explain when you're graduating and that you're hoping to seek opportunities with them once you graduate. We want to focus on what's special about their organization. So why would you want to work for that company in particular over any other company? And we want to make it about them and not about you. So it's not what skills you can gain, what pay you can gain, what benefits they have, what industry you want to be a part of. It's what makes them a unique organization that's worth wanting to be employed with. And then why are you motivated to want to work for that company? Is it something about their philanthropy? Is it something about the products they offer? Is it something about the reputation they have? Focus on them. We also want to think about what the needs of the prospective employer are. And when we're thinking about their needs, the easiest place to go is back to the job ad where they explained what their needs are. And we want to ask ourselves, what do they need and what do I have that I can bring to meet those needs? So we want to sit down and think about, what are the qualities, skills, and experiences that I bring that meet their needs? And then how can I match what I bring to what they want in the job? And we're going to bucket what we bring to the table into 1 or 2 main points that we're going to highlight in the middle paragraphs of our cover letter. Those are our main selling features. Those are our highlights, the biggest things that we think are going to help us get this job. When it comes to writing your cover letter, almost more than the content of the cover letter itself, the format of your cover letter matters. There is a very standard business letter format that we want to adhere to again show them that I know the conventions of what a business letter should look like. We're going to, in almost all cases, limit our cover letter to 1 page. Once we get into really high level executive type positions, then we might span into 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, but let's stick with 1 page for now. And we're going to have between 3 and 4 paragraphs. I know that sounds strict, but these are the rules of the game. We want to adhere to the conventional block form layout. I'll include some links in the description of this video, but generally speaking, the block form has everything aligned all the way to the left on the page. We have no paragraphs tabbing things in. We have no indentations. Everything is down the left side of the page, and the document itself is single-spaced. Then, between each of our paragraphs or each of our separate lines or sections of our cover letter, we're going to include just one blank line between our paragraphs. When you're formatting your cover letter, the top part should have details about you and details about that potential employer. So we want to start with our contact information at the very top, then we'll have the date, then their contact information, and then a dear line that directs our letter to ideally a very specific person at the organization. We want to format our date with the month written out, the date number of the month, and then comma, what year that we're in. Again, I know there are other ways to format the date, but we're showing them that we know this is how it's done in a business letter. Here's the pro tip. We're going to be very consistent across our resume and our cover letter. Once you have that resume done, you've got a great header that includes your name, your email address, your phone number, and any online profiles that you might have. We're going to take that exact same header and copy it over onto the top of our cover letter. It serves as almost your own personal letterhead. Then whatever font you use in your resume, we're also going to use on your cover letter. Look at these documents at the bottom of the slide. These are the materials that I submitted when I applied for my job at Cal State San Bernardino. Look at the font, matching. Look at the header, matching. That consistency really puts my best foot forward, or put my best foot forward when I was on the job market. Ideally, when we're writing our letter, we're addressing the letter to a very specific person at the organization. Definitely not to whom it may concern. That could be literally anyone in the whole organization. We could at least narrow down where our letter should go to the department or the general job title of the person who we want to read our letter. We also want to use a colon and not a comma. You'll notice that on my own cover letter from the last slide, I made that mistake. We want to use the colon. And we could say, Dear Ms. Person. Now, if you're directing your letter to a person who you know identifies as a woman, MS is either married or unmarried. So MISS is an unmarried woman. MRS is a married woman, but MS is your kind of safe bet for addressing a letter to a woman. You could also use their title. So Dear President Biden, or Dear Dr. such and such. If you're not sure of the gender of the person that you're writing your letter to, you can use MX. That is the gender neutral honorific. It's pronounced Mix. So Mix Johnson would be a gender neutral indicator. Again, if you're not feeling comfortable, though, we can always state the person's full name or their title. If you can't find their name, we can at least, again, direct it towards a department or a title of a person that you want to read. So if you're applying for an accounting role, you could write Dear Accounting Department. Those are the people you're going to be working with. That's who you're addressing your letter to. You could also choose to direct it to Human Resources Department. And then the last option is to direct it to the hiring manager. Hiring manager is kind of a catch-all because it might be the hiring manager who's in charge of hiring your position in your department, or it could be the hiring manager with the Human Resources Department. You heard me talk a lot about the format of this cover letter. This on the left is what the format of your cover letter should look like. You see everything is aligned left. It's all single spaced. There's exactly one line in between each of our paragraphs. And we've got that space for the header information, the date, their contact information, our dear line. Then we've got our 3 to 4 paragraphs in the middle and our normal standard sign off at the end. This little bracket is here because you can't have one, you can't have two. It depends on how you want to break up your ideas or how many of those main selling points you want to highlight. So some other tips are to avoid using a Google Doc or a Word template. There seems to be always just something a little off about those templates that we just don't really want to deal with. We ideally really want to tailor our cover letter to each position, and I'll talk more about how we can do that a little bit later. At the very end, if possible, using your own signature, your real signature, also adds a pop of professionalism. And then you'll see conflicting information about whether the enclosed line is necessary at the very bottom. That just tells your reader what other documents are enclosed. So it might be your resume, it might be a contact information list. It might be references, other things they might ask for, you can list in your enclosures. All right, now that you've got the format of your cover letter, let's get started on the first paragraph. With our first paragraph, ideally we're going to hit all 5 of these points, and ideally we're going to hit them all in the order that's listed here. First things first, we're going to identify who we are. You can start with something like, my name is such and such, or I am a student here, or I am a full-time blank, but we want to bring ourselves to the letter. Then we want to state what our desired position is. So I'm applying for this position. I'm writing to express interest in that position. They should know at the very beginning of our letter why we're writing. Then we want to mention how we heard about this position. Did you learn about it word of mouth from someone? Did you find it on a job website? Did you find it on their career homepage? We want to state how we heard of the position. The fourth thing we want to do is discuss why we want this job or this specific organization for our employment. So what is it about that job call that caught your eye, the specific tasks that they were outlining, or the vision for this position that they described? What was it about that? Or this company, what's about them that makes you want to work there out of any other company that does the same similar kind of thing? So that can be 1 or 2 sentences to highlight what's special about them, why you want to work there. And then we want to give a thesis statement. Our thesis statement is kind of our 1-2 punch about why we think we're qualified for this position. It's basically what we're going to really hit on in our middle paragraphs. Here in the first paragraph, you can also consider name dropping if you have permission. So let's say you're applying to work at a place where your close friend also works. You could say that you heard about this position from your friend such and such who works in blank department. That helps reduce uncertainty for them. They already know your friend. If your friend's a great worker and gives you a good nudge in the right direction when someone asks, hey, do you know about this person? Then that's going to help open the door for you at this organization. So just make sure you're asking for permission when you're name dropping people, and also considering, is this a person that I want to be affiliated with in my professional career? Here's an example of what this first paragraph could look like. My name is Bailey Benedict and I'm a junior at California State University, San Bernardino. The marketing and event planning internship position at the Pizza Shack that I found on the Inland Empire Foodies Facebook group caught my attention. This job posting interests me because of my passion for bringing people together for food and fun. Additionally, I enjoy playing bingo at the Pizza Shack on Sunday nights and appreciate how the Pizza Shack offers family-friendly and affordable events to bring people together, especially in the winter months. My coursework and experiences make me uniquely qualified to fulfill the duties of this role. Because that last paragraph ended with my coursework and my professional experiences, we can expect that these next middle paragraphs are going to cover the coursework and the professional experiences. When you're writing your middle paragraphs, consider these strategies. We want to describe our qualifications, qualities, and skills in relation to that position or organization. So we're not going to want to mention things that aren't relevant to the position or aren't important to this organization. Really focus on, what do I have that they could care about? We want to use really clear topic sentences that provide structure for our full document. Sometimes people don't have time to read our whole document. That happens. But they oftentimes do read the first sentences of our paragraph. So our first sentence should really make a strong claim about why we think we're qualified. We also want to lead with strong successes. We don't want to lead with something that's like, well, I don't have experience in marketing, I do have blank. No, we're leading with that strong success that says, I do have experience in this area. We also want to give support for our claims. So instead of saying things like, I'm a great leader, I'm a good team player, I do this, I do that, we might say, I'm a great leader, and provide an example of a project that you led. So we want to really explain what exactly we can do for them and link it back to the job ad. So I have this in your job ad, you asked for that, here's what I hope to do for your organization. On the right, you'll see an example. My marketing education from CSUSB has taught me how to identify and evaluate customer needs, select target markets, and create and promote events to satisfy the needs of individuals and families. In my Principles of Marketing course, I developed a marketing campaign for the San Bernardino Humane Society to raise awareness about the animal fostering program and increase volunteer applications. We secured 4 new fosters, which helped save the lives of 4 at-risk pets. I would use the knowledge and skills I gained at CSUSB to increase and improve the Pizza Shack. So we're trying to tell them, here's how what I have is going to benefit you. And then another paragraph, my professional experiences as blank gave me experience in the restaurant industry and practice building relationships, blah, 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 blah. If they read nothing else in that paragraph, those 2 topic sentences really make a strong argument for why I'm a good fit for that position. When you're writing your middle paragraphs, avoid these pitfalls. First, we do not want to simply repeat our resume. First I worked here, then I worked there, then I worked there. No, we want to add details and provide the narrative. So was there an important reason why you shifted from working in the restaurant industry to the retail industry? If so, that might be a detail that you choose to include, especially if the job you're currently applying for is in retail. We also want to connect that experience that we have to the job ad. So if you're working in retail right now and the position that you're applying for is in retail, tell us how the customer base that you worked with was similar, or how the type of product that you sold was similar. We also want to avoid making empty claims by saying, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. Those long lists of things don't really do anything to us. Anybody can come up with a bunch of good things about themselves. We want to ideally give evidence and really specific examples as to why what we said is true. So if you want to say you're a really dependable and hardworking employee, then follow it up with, my boss kept me on speed dial in case other people called out. He knew he could call me to come in. That would be an example that helps prove that claim to be true. And when in doubt, we want to explain fewer of our qualifications in more detail than more of our qualifications with very little detail, where we're just kind of rattling off a list of things that we can do or have done in the past. We also want to avoid using too much first-person language like I this, I that, I this. Instead saying things, my experience as a blank provided me with blank, or this project demonstrates my ability to blank. I also encourage you to very sparingly use words like we and our. Although we want to give credit to the other people that we worked with when we can, the person reading this document wants to know about you and what you did. So saying I in those cases can be okay. After you've written your 1 or 2 middle paragraphs, then we jump to our last paragraph. And here we don't want to mess around. We're really trying to hit these points, ideally in this order. So we want to reiterate our interest. So in summary, I'm very interested in working here. Or in summary, I'm excited about the possibility of being a blank. And we want to double down on our thesis statement. Remind them what makes you so great. Then we want to state what we would like to happen next. So I would appreciate the opportunity to be interviewed for this position, or I hope to meet with you on XYZ date or XYZ week to discuss my qualifications in greater detail. We want to re-provide our phone number and email address, and that might sound like overkill since that information is at the top of your document in the header. However, imagine you're a hiring person, you're reading this document, you get to the very end, they say, reach out to me if you'd like to chat, and you're like, heck yes, I'd like to chat. That contact information is already right there. They don't even have to lift their head up or find where it is on the page. You've already provided it. The last thing you want to do is thank them for their time, thank them for their consideration, thank them for this opportunity. What does this sound like? An example is on the right. To reiterate, I'm very interested in supporting the Pizza Shack by helping attract attendees to events through robust marketing campaigns and by making sure events play out seamlessly. My education and professional experiences make me well suited to succeed in furthering the mission of the Pizza Shack to bring food and fun to the Inland Empire. I would greatly appreciate the opportunity to interview for this position. I can be reached at phone number or email address if you have any questions or would like to schedule a meeting about how I can contribute to the Pizza Shack's success. Thank you for your time and consideration. A few more general considerations for you as you write your cover letter. Avoid these pitfalls. We want to avoid rambling on and on and on and on, especially in your introduction. Get to the point in your introduction. If they start to feel like you're rambling or might be wasting their time, they're just going to move on. So we want to hit those 5 things as kind of quickly as we can in the introduction. Same goes for the conclusion. We don't want to be rambling on and on and on about how we want this job and how we want to talk to them about it and how we know we're qualified, how we think we're the best. No, just get to the point and save any of the arguments for why you're a good fit for this position for the middle paragraph. We don't want to be adding any new information in the conclusion, and we don't want to bog down that introduction with too many details right away. If you're applying for a position where they ask for your availability or any certifications that you might have, or they ask for any really specific details from you, we can put that stuff in the introduction or in the conclusion so it doesn't get lost in the middle section. We also don't want to say anything negative about your current situation, your job, or your life. So we don't want to say things like, although I don't have experience with this, or I want to have a more reliable work schedule, or I really hate working outside. No, we only want to stick positive. We also want to be sure you don't have any spelling or grammar errors at all. We want to check, recheck, triple check, especially people's names, because it's just a huge turn off when somebody spells your name wrong. I also encourage you to have the computer read your cover letter out loud to you. In Word, you can do a function called play aloud, and it will just read it to you, and then you can kind of hear it how another person's voice might hear it in their head. And I also encourage you to have someone else review your letter. So visit a writing consultant on campus to help you fix any of those little grammar mistakes that you might miss by being so close to your document yourself. You're probably thinking, that sounds like a lot of work writing a cover letter, and you said we can't have the same exact cover letter for each job. Well, no, we don't want the same exact cover letter for each job, but we can use our own homemade template to update for each job, especially if we're applying for jobs that are of a similar type. So let's say you just graduated with your degree in accounting and you know you want to be an accountant. Well, the skills that you have as an accountant are going to be relevant at pretty much any accounting firm that you apply to. So those middle paragraphs, the arguments that you're making, don't need to change a lot. Your thesis statement, again, doesn't need to change a lot. So I encourage you to use highlighting to highlight those things that you can sub out each time. You could sub in the company's name, the job site where you found the information. You can sub out what stands out to you about that particular organization, and you can sub their name in throughout the document to show them that you're tailoring your message, but creating less work for you as you're writing multiple of these for the multiple jobs that you're applying for. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that your cover letter serves as an introduction to yourself, a sales pitch as to why you'd be a good candidate for this position, and a proposal for future action, which is to bring you in for an interview already. It's a really tough job market out there. Everybody knows it. However, if you write a really strong cover letter, I think it'll help you bring your resume to the top of the stack and hopefully get your foot in the door for an interview. Good luck.